Hey, everybody, this is your guy AD coming to you live from the You Can Teach Hustle podcast. Man, today is going to be a very special day because this one is important to me. First, let me just bring him in, tell people a little bit about yourself, and I just want to tell everybody how important you have been to me in my business experience.
All right. Well, matter of fact, well, Adrian, thank you so much, man. And also, this is quite a treat. Usually, I'm on the other side doing this interview, and then you came in basically did this. But guys, like I said, my name is Desmond Antonio Blackburn, aka Coach Desmond. I'm a business growth coach, and I specialize in working with introverted perfectionists, helping them to be able to sell in a way that doesn't make them feel fake, phony, or salesy. So. On that. We've been doing that for a long time, 7 years. Gosh, I can't believe it's been
In
that long.
7 years.
7 years. Matter of
Mhm.
fact, we've had the privilege of working with over 2,500 professionals on that, and it's been a wonderful experience. So thank you for allowing me to come on your show. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
thanks, man.
Yeah.
You were one of the first individuals that I wanted to bring onto the show. It was
Thank you.
for a very special reason. So we met. I mean, I've been knowing you for a while. We just never
Yeah.
talked when we were at
Mm-hmm.
church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, man, that guy has a great radio voice. It just so happened that during COVID, we were able to. I think one of a mutual friend had
Yeah.
introduced us together, right?
Yeah.
At that time, my office had shut down. I was forced to move back home, work from my garage. Oh man, it was a terrible experience because I went from a very nice office off of
Mm-hmm.
Manchester and St. Paul, with a very nice
Mm-hmm.
area of Los
Mm-hmm.
Angeles, to now in a dusty, dirty, dingy garage. Man, I tell you, I used to have three fans running on me, one on my face, one on my body, and one on my leg, just to keep the mosquitoes off of me, man. It was awesome because you told me one thing that carried with me and it still does today. You said, hey, where do you see yourself? And it
Mm-hmm.
was like 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
You said, I want you to paint that picture.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
normally I could do that, right? I've
Right. Right.
listened to a lot of YouTube
Right.
people, and normally
Right.
I'll paint the picture in my
Mm-hmm.
mind, and the picture ultimately fades away.
Mm-hmm.
This time, what you told me is you said, hey, no, I want you to actually draw it out, right? I want you to put it where you can see it. And I
Yeah.
went and got an easel and I got this long writing board and I kept it right in front of my desk. So when I
Mm-hmm.
sat in that dingy garage where it looked like, man, this is what happened? What have I done with myself? Where did I go wrong, right? You told me to draw,
Right.
right?
Right.
Exactly what I envisioned,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. What
Mm-hmm.
you told me to draw, what was that, 5, 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
is actually reality today. So, so that's why I say, man, I owe you a lot. And having a business coach, I don't know if a lot of people understand the importance of having someone guide you and coach
Mm-hmm.
you and train you. You can
Mm-hmm.
be very skilled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think if Michael Jordan was is as skilled as he is,
Yeah.
I don't know if he didn't have Phil Jackson, as if he would be as great as a player as he is.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
Kobe didn't have Phil Jackson in the great leaderships, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have this show.
Yeah.
I wanted to get the word out as to why it's important to connect with a professional that can guide you along your journey of being an entrepreneur or a business owner, taking you through the challenges of the ups and downs, right?
Mhm.
Of being an entrepreneur. But I don't want to go too far into that. I want to actually let people know who you are
Right.
and how you can help them, and kind of give us a little background about you.
Well, Adrian, and first of all, you've been very kind. Adrian, obviously, you did the hard work. Okay, going on here. Like I said, any good coach, what I'm trying to go ahead and do is simply take the raw energy and talent you already have, and this only thing we did was we got a chance to go ahead and narrow the focus, remove the distractions going on here, and once you were able to go ahead and see that, it was on and cracking from there, and also, and Adrian, I'm eternally grateful to you as one. You were one of my day ones when we first got started here. And again, like I said, 2,500 clients later, look at where we are now. So extremely proud of your journey, extremely proud of where you are and all stuff matter of fact, I saw your garage as something a little bit different. You may have seen it as dusty and mosquito matter of fact driven, but that was matter of fact, that was the incubator from which you were being born. And right now we see you on billboards. You're doing conferences as far as that concerned. So again, incredibly proud of the work that you're doing, and continue to go ahead and do so and all stuff. So, but yeah, to your point, what are we really doing here? Now, there's a lot of people out there that think, well, okay, I'm going to get a coach, so I'm hiring some type of hype man, some type of person who can do that. And I imagine there are folks out here who do that. That's not what I do. That matter of fact, for my specialty has been working with individuals who have identified themselves as either introverted or perfectionist or introverted perfectionist. And because right now we talk to business people, we talk about this all the time, individuals and all stuff who are absolutely world class at what they do. But when it comes to selling their vision, selling what they do, it has become, we went from world class to executing what we do. But absolutely, matter of fact, we're in kindergarten when it comes to actually being able to present and tell the world what I do and how to go ahead and sell it. And a lot of them are apprehensive about doing that because their image of sales is what they've seen all throughout the years. The matter of fact, the used car salesperson, fast talking individual who's very good at wanting to be fake or phony. And what we've come to go ahead and learn that there are certain personality types for which that simply will not fly. And these are the individuals that I get a chance to work with every day by showing them that they can sell without feeling fake, phony, or salesy, but they can do it their way, feeling authentic and full of integrity. And it has been an amazing journey. It's really amazing how many people I see for which that is a high value.
That's awesome, man. So when people say I hate sales, it's a lot of people that are in sales. You got Mary Kay, you got World Financial, Primary, right? There's a lot of people that are in sales today.
Yeah.
Right. When people say I hate sales, what are they really saying? Especially the introverted business owners.
Well, just as I was saying, what they really say, they hate sales in terms of how they've come to see it. Okay, so when they're seeing that person that we talked about, the used car salesman, what conjures up in their mind is manipulation. What they conjures up in their mind that they're being authentic, that they have to go ahead and put on some type of mask in order to go ahead and do that. And what people don't understand about introverts is that introverts have a high desire to always know what they're talking about, and they have a high desire to always feel authentic and real. And for so many people that I work with, and also from CEOs to a person just starting off with an MLM or what have you, this has always been the gigantic speed bump. They start with a bang, but eventually end with a fizzle every single time because they're trying to imitate what they think sales is to be. And for many of them, because at the very core, that's not who they are, they get frustrated, they get discouraged, they get angry, and eventually they quit. So that's really when people telling me they hate sales, it's not the sales. They love what they're doing. They just don't like how they're being asked to do it because it's not consistent with who they are.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, why do you think most sales advice feels so off for individuals that are like me, kind of quiet, low key, reserved?
In fact, well, it feels that way because of how you've been conditioned. You see, a lot of people keep thinking that to be successful at sales, you have to be a good convincer. I can sell snow to an Eskimo. I mean, how many times have we heard that, right? Okay. And also, well, it turns out, guys, that is the most ineffective and inefficient way to sell on the planet. You see, matter of fact, listen, this has happened to everybody. You come across somebody who's trying to convince you of something, or they're pushy. Agent, what happens? Matter of fact, you're being pushy, and what do they instinctively do? They push back. Okay. This is what's happening when people are engaging in practices from which they're trying to convince, because that's what they've been told to. That's what they've been saying going on here. But the most effective and efficient way to sell on the planet is to talk to people that you're already in agreement with. You see, that's been the power. That's been the powerful thing. And also, matter of fact, when you talk to somebody that's already in agreement with your philosophy, your perspective, your take on it, you will have agreement. And where there's agreement, there's typically a sale. So showing introverts to be able to go ahead and understand and so here's the secret sauce that we've been doing. And this is going to sound really weird, Adrian, because a lot of people think that if you're going to be good at sales, you got to be able to go ahead and talk to everybody. But I'm the one that basically telling people, I don't want you talking to everybody. You need to go ahead and find your specific type. And once we
Mm,
find your type to talk to, then everything, matter of fact, everything begins to go ahead and fall into place, especially for the introvert.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this a long time, a lot of success stories. And
Mm.
so I'm sure you work with a lot of smart and capable folks. Why does selling still trip them up?
Well, again, like I said, let me put it this way. Matter of fact, let me first off, for a lot of people who are watching this, they're like saying, "Well, this guy's talking about an introvert, extrovert. I'm an extrovert. That doesn't even apply to me." Okay, all right. So, Adrian, can I do this real quick?
Of
Can we do a
course.
quick
Go
test?
ahead. Take your
Okay, let's do a
time.
quick test. Okay, all right. So,
Spotlight's on you.
yeah, because a lot of people get this confused. Everybody assumes that if you're an introvert, it obviously means that Adrian is quiet, shy, demure, to the back, don't like to talk to people. And if you're an extrovert, obviously means you talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere, jazz hands. Okay. All right. Okay.
Not
All right.
just
So if you talk to most people, I think they would agree that's what they perceive it to be. But it turns out that's actually wrong. You see, there was a study done by a famous Swiss psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Carl Jung, Jung, if you want to look him up later on. But anyway, he was a famous Swiss psychiatrist of the early 20th century, and he did a seminal study on introversion and extroversion. And here's what he discovered. He discovered that being an introvert or an extrovert has nothing to do with who's quiet or who's not quiet, or who's shy or who's not shy.
mm,
But instead, it has everything to do with how Adrian processes energy. Okay, let me explain. So the extrovert is kind of like that person who goes to a party, stays to the end of that party, and then shouts out, "Yo, where the after party at?" Okay. You see, what's unique about extroverts is that extroverts have the amazing ability to draw from the energy from the people and things buzzing around them.
okay.
Okay. The more energy that's around them, the more people that are around them, the more of the energy that he can borrow from those people and use it for himself. Ever heard of that term, the more the merrier? Chances are that was an extrovert who probably said that.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
Because again, they're able to borrow from what's there. And that's what makes them amazing. Okay. Now, the introvert's a lot different. Okay. All right. So the introvert is at the same party the extrovert is at. But here's what people don't know about introverts. Whenever an introvert goes to a party, meeting, or event, that introvert has already consciously or unconsciously budgeted the amount of energy they plan to spend on that party, meeting, or event. So if they're at the party, trust me, they're having a great time. But the longer that introvert is at that party, the more mentally, physically, and emotionally drained they
yeah,
begin to feel.
yeah,
Why is that?
yeah.
Because the energy that they budgeted at the beginning of that party has now begun to go down. And when that energy goes down, we're jiggling the keys and we got to go. Why is that? Because the fact that we need the energy's already been spent, so we have to go and recharge. And that's the big difference going on here. And when people understand that's who they are, it becomes very clear on why they feel almost allergic to pushy sales tactics because it's not in line with who they are.
So, a lot of people, when they get into business, they feel like I'm not going to start until I'm perfect, right?
Yeah.
Until
Yeah.
everything is aligned, the stars are
Mhm.
aligned, everything is grand, right?
Mhm.
How does being a perfectionist actually get in the way of making money?
I'm so glad you asked that. And also, this is another group that I specialize in working with. First of all, I love me some perfectionists. Mwah, you guys are amazing. Okay, and also, but here's an interesting fact that a lot of people don't understand, particularly when it comes to being an introvert. First of all, there's nothing wrong with being, excuse me, a matter of fact, a perfectionist. There's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist. You just need to know that being a perfectionist does not cross over across all platforms. What do I mean by that? Okay, all right. So being a perfectionist is celebrated when you are in environments from which A plus B always equals C. Okay, Adrian, you're an accountant by trade and all stuff. So being a perfectionist in your area is actually celebrated. Okay, we got to get the numbers right. It's
Yes.
just not acceptable to do 2 + 2 = 6. I'm sorry, that's just not acceptable. Okay, going on here. So being a perfectionist, where matter of fact, they are best when they are in places where rules have already been established. If you do A plus B, you'll always equal C. So think of science, technology, engineering, math. Think about legal. Think about medical field, military, athletics, et cetera, et cetera. The rules are established. Follow the rules, and you get said outcome. Introverts, matter of fact, excuse me, perfectionists are celebrated when they're in that environment. However, when they get into environments where there are no rules, what are some of those places? Marriage, no rules there. What
Mm.
worked for mama and them, what worked for sister and them, ain't been working for your relationship. Parenting, how you raise your oldest is vastly different from how you're going to raise your middle child and definitely your younger child. Okay. And most of all, business. I don't care who's mentoring you, Adrian. The person can be the top of the top, same office, same material going on here. But what ends up happening, you're having an entirely different perspective. A in business, A plus B doesn't always equal C. Sometimes is Y on Thursdays.
Very true.
And with when perfectionists are in environments for which there are no established rules, they struggle going on here. So how do we fix that? All right. First of all, people need to recognize that I am no longer a perfectionist. I have people do this all the time. Repeat that to me. I am now a person of excellence.
I'm now a person of excellence.
Okay. And I praise progress, not perfection.
I praise progress, not
perfection.
perfection.
All right. Wonderful. Now, why we just have you do that? First of all, don't worry. Balloons whistle to fall from the sky or you get zapped with the Holy Ghost. Okay. Now, the point basically here is that, first of all, the person of excellence and the perfectionist, they all look and feel the same. They're the tip of the spear. They care how they show up. They dot I's, they cross T's. We love them. So they basically look the same on paper. But what's the big difference? They change what they measure. You see, the perfectionists will say, only when I'm able to hit the bull's, matter of fact, the arrow through the bullseye every single time I try, while riding horseback and singing I'm Every Woman in perfect pitch. Then and only then will I give myself permission to be happy. Very, very clear, although some people will call it rigid requirements that give them permission to be happy. When a perfectionist is entering into areas where there are no rules, they have to be people of excellence who praise progress and not perfection. Let me give you an example. And also, there are three things that a person of excellence is able to do that is hard for perfectionists. What are the three things? They need to be able to take the win, move on, meaning we do not dwell on what did not work, and then last but not least, give themselves permission to be happy. This is mission critical because when the perfectionist who's been successful in those areas where they've dominated, where they had established rules, and they start their own business where there are no rules, they now are unnecessarily miserable. And not only are they miserable, and everyone else around them is miserable. So, like I said, so what I do is help, matter of fact, perfectionists to not stop being who they are, just change what they measure. And by becoming a person of excellence, because they are, matter of fact, because they are simply now giving themselves permission to be happy going on here, and also giving themselves permission to be happy far more often, taking the win, matter of fact, moving on and giving themselves permission to be happy, they are now happier on that, and they're able to move forward in seasons where there are no rules.
So let me ask you, in sales, it's a myth. You got to be in front, charismatic, very loud, very, I'm here, right? I'm the number one guy. But what happens like when an introvert tries to sell that way, similar to like an extrovert?
Well, like I said, listen, I don't have to go and tell you right now, we're in an environment right now to where trust is at an all-time low. Going on here. Everyone right now is very suspicious on that, and that people are talking about scams constantly, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, one of the things we talked about when I was coaching you was letting you know that you don't sell CPA and accounting services. You sell trust.
Yes.
So once we got a chance, so what's happening right now is the fact that this is at a premium. I'm going to give you guys a big hint right now. And also, in this new environment, if you're going to go ahead and win, in fact, it's probably easier now, believe it or not, to go ahead and win in this environment, because with so many people scamming or trying to get the one up and all stuff, the people who are true, The people who are faithful, the people who will walk away in honesty on that in high integrity are the people who are shining bright like a diamond in this season and all stuff. So this is going to be absolutely huge for people to go ahead and make sure that they now are promoting that and being honest and authentic. And with individuals who already have that innate desire to be honest or authentic, they're never going to be comfortable coming off in terms of doing things that are in the gray areas going on here. And this is the reason why a lot of them basically for the most part would probably end up not being very successful in environments that require that on that, or are not being successful when they think that's what's being required. When they start understanding that they can sell like their authentic self, everything's amazing. I've worked for many sales organizations, and it was always amazing to me to see that the number one salespeople, and I kid you not, were oftentimes people in and of themselves I couldn't pick out of a lineup. They were the quiet, they were the reserved individuals as far as that's concerned. And I have receipts to show that it's not the gregarious, I can do all things, loudest person in the room that's actually now making the sales. Why? And here's what I came to know, and I've learned this by way of experience. What people don't understand, you don't just have extroverted sales professional, extroverted and introverted sales professionals. You also have introverted customers. Why is this important? When you're being the let's get excited, big time energy, if you're talking to an introverted customer, they feel extremely blown away. Oh my gosh, you're too much.
I can see that.
Because extroverts oftentimes rely on their personality, which is if you like me, you'll buy from me.
Yeah.
But the reason why introverts are so successful in sales because they get to the point. They're good listeners. And because they're getting to the point and they're good listeners, if they're talking to another introverted customer, they appreciate that. Whereas if the extrovert, let's get excited. Hey, are those your kids in the picture? Hey, what do you do this weekend? To the introvert who's hearing that, like saying, hold on a second, boundaries. I don't know you. You don't know me. And without even knowing it, matter of fact, high energy entrepreneurs and sales professionals who are trying to use those tactics are actually damaging their sales and credibility because they don't recognize that the person across away from them, they're introverts. And what you think is needed to go ahead and get them to like you is actually turning them off. And that's why sales are getting lower and lower. And you're excited and confused all at the same time.
So what does it sound like in an actual conversation when you say sell yourself? Because I know we're always selling ourselves, but what does that sound like in an actual conversation?
Well, like I said, again, I think people conjure up a negative image of like, oh my gosh, I'm this person hawking myself on the street corner, Crenshaw and Pico here in Los Angeles, and also just basically doing the same thing as would if somebody who's trying to sell oranges on that. Here's the big difference with introverts and all stuff, and I cover a lot of this in my coaching on that. How we're changing the game is I'm getting them away from the notion that you need to be talking to everybody. No, what really makes introverts successful at sales is that, and this is what I said, this is what I teach, is that showing them that they have a type. Adrian, I want you to imagine this for a second. What if you were able to find out that Adrian, no matter as you talk to so many people about finances as you have been for the last 20 plus years, if you did a quick analysis, and let's say, for example, I know, and first of all, warning, this is going to be a ridiculous example. Okay. All right. But let's say, for example, Adrian, you found out that most of your clients, the most faithful, who paid on time and paid the most, were all women who had close cropped hair, who wore gold hooped earrings and wore yellow blouses. Now, I know for a lot of people that will sound absolutely ridiculous, but not to you. Why? Because now you're like saying, hold on a second. Every time I sell to the person with close cropped hair, gold hooped earrings, and yellow blouses, they give me money. So it doesn't take a genius to go ahead and know I need to be focusing on that type. Another thing that people hate about sales is the notion of talking to a whole bunch of people who aren't their customers, thinking that that's the process. But for introverts, beware, this is dangerous because when you're wasting time, and introverts hate wasting time. Now what ends up happening, you're getting drained and discouraged. So then as a result of that, drained and discouraged, you're not showing up again to do that again tomorrow. And whenever you're doing, and for introverts are always asking two questions in the back of their head at all times. What are those two questions?
Yeah.
Does this make sense? Or what's the point? If it doesn't make sense, and if it doesn't have a point, the first reaction of the introvert is to avoid, avoid, avoid. And Adrian, we have a name for that. It's called procrastination.
You know, I've been doing this since '98.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've picked up is I was looking for come one, come all. Right?
Yeah.
And the experience of my business each day was that, right? I would walk into the office and it would start one way and it can go left real fast or right real fast, right? Because of the level of clients that I was out there seeking. And one of the important things that you also taught me during that period when I was in the garage was, what's my avatar look like?
Yeah.
You talked about the hoop earrings and the yellow top. Can you tell us a little bit about why individuals should have an avatar in mind?
Yeah, because like I said, and if you're an introvert right now who's listening to this and all stuff, you already know what I'm talking about here. Introverts hate wasting time and they hate doing random. It's draining. Having an avatar, and again, I know that's a big word. Some people say, is that the movie? No. What the avatar means is the fact that what we're doing is you're having a specific client type. They have specific characteristics. Sub as well. And when you understand your type, I'll give you mine, for example. When I first started my coaching business, I assumed most of my customers were going to be men. Adrian, believe it or not, you were actually the exception to the rule. 98% of my clients are all women.
Right.
So I do have men, but like I said, most of them were women. So 90% of my clients were women. And I discovered that totally by accident because I was targeting men exclusively and getting absolutely nowhere. I would have entire events, invite people to the back of the room. The men would come up, high five me, and never schedule a free coaching session. But there was always a line of women waiting to talk to me. And Adrian, here's what I discovered. And this is what I'm basically, when we talk about the avatar, this is what I discovered. I started noticing that every single time I spoke, there was always a line of women waiting to go in and talk to me. But it wasn't just any women. It turns out they had 10 specific characteristics. They were, matter of fact, women, particularly women of color, between the ages of 45 to 59, Christian or Christian influence, had a bachelor's or master's degree, a lot of master's degrees. They were introverted and recovering perfectionists. They were single, divorced, or widowed, and also, even though we got a few married folk in there, and they all had a high sense of urgency, and they were the family's natural helpers and natural givers.
That's interesting.
The reason why this is so important, why you need to create your avatar, because I know somebody there's but that sounds like target marketing. Okay. Adrian, remember target marketing?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do we have a few more minutes to get into this? Okay.
Yeah, go for it. You got it.
Okay. All right. So, matter of fact, so all of us who know about target marketing, and also we're told to go ahead and create our type, okay, our customer type, who we want to recruit, et cetera, et cetera. So we got together and we said, okay, fine. If you're a woman, you're probably saying, okay, he needs to be 6'3", 6-pack abs, make 6 figures a year. Got it. Okay. All right. So as far as they were concerned, that was their target. All right. And made total sense. You did exactly what they told you to do. Here was the flaw in target marketing. While we were clear on who we wanted, it was never clear, Adrian, if they wanted us. So we're running after these people that we say we want, saying, why won't you let me catch you? I don't want you. What I'm teaching and what I discovered totally by accident, when I started noticing the 10 characteristics found in the people that I work with the most, I found out totally by accident. Then when I'm talking to my avatar, matter of fact, these are the people who are already naturally attracted to me. When I was running after people who did not want to be caught, the sales gap rarely closed. But when I started working with people who actually were already attracted to me, I wasn't just finding them, they were finding me. And for introverts, this has been solid gold, because now what's happening, because people are now familiar with who their type is, When they go out and about now they're going into a room and now they're going, nope, nope, nope. Ah, there she is. For introverts, that makes way more sense than trying to
Mhm.
just blanket everybody out there, roll the dice, and hope they get lucky.
Mhm.
So this is what we're doing, and like I said again, it's been a wonderful experience. I've benefited from this on that, and also my customers are benefiting from this. This has been awesome.
Yeah. Can you give us a real example of someone who changed how they sold and how they saw results?
Matter of fact, several of them right now, and also, in fact, I don't think I have one of my graphics up here. Matter of fact, dealing with a young lady by name of, matter of fact, Roxanne Singleton right now. I think she's out. I want to say Nashville, Tennessee, going on here. She works with, matter of fact, she sells Mary Kay products going on here, and she was struggling to try to get out of the 1,000 or $1,500 a month she was doing. She's a full time hairdresser, really wanted to go ahead and really begin to start getting out of, in fact, doing hair, and wanted to go ahead and sell full-time Mary Kay, but she just could not get out of that $1,000 to $1,500 a month, which is all she was bringing in. When I got a chance to go and meet with her, we put together a system of helping her to understand that she has a type. And once we got a chance to put her through the exercise, she was like blown away to find out the people that were already around her that she had not been paying attention to, that were already naturally buying from her and wanted to be around her. But anyway, we put together that type. We had her to go ahead and finally understand who they were. She started speaking with them, listen carefully, exclusively. She started reaching out to them exclusively. And when she did that, her productivity went through the roof. But
Mhm.
most of all, her comfort went through the roof. Why am I talking about that? Introverts are oftentimes very uncomfortable in sales because they're being told to talk to random people. For introverts, that doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
What we got a chance to do by showing her exactly who her avatar was, she now, because she was familiar, maybe not with who they were personally, but she was familiar with their type.
Mhm.
Ever have a situation where we were invited to, matter of fact, a networking meeting and all stuff? You may know the host who invited you, but you're in the room and you don't know a soul, and you're trying to figure out, what am I going to do with the next 2 hours of my time? And then you happen to notice, while you're holding your drink in your hand, there maybe somebody's basically wearing something. I mean, this always happens at the backyard barbecue on that. So, and in this scenario, you happen to notice the person is a LA Rams fan. Really? Okay. You're a Rams fan. So now you shimmy on over on that. Matter of fact, start talking about the Rams, and before you know it, total stranger, you guys are high fiving, buying each other shots, and now making plans to go ahead and now check out the next Rams game. What happened? Well, you didn't know them before. You don't know their name. You didn't have a relationship, but you increased your comfort level to go ahead and meet them. Why? Because they were your type. And by getting introverts comfortable with who their type is, like we did with Sherilyn, matter of fact, like we did with, Roxanne that we just mentioned, she went from basically barely $1,500 a month to now, matter of fact, to now $1,500 that she made mostly in Mary Kay. In fact, after working with me for about 18 weeks, matter of fact, about 16 to 18 weeks,
Oh, that's snaps.
$10,168.
Wow.
And she's no longer, they have different divisions in Mary Kay, so
Yeah.
she's no longer at Red Jacket. She's now a sales director now.
Yeah.
So not only is she making more money, she was able to promote, and guess what, she was able to do it, not doing the frenetic talk to
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
and their mama, finding her type only and only talking to them. It was awesome.
That brings up my next question. I got only a couple more questions.
Sure.
But for those that's watching right now that love their business, but they want to avoid selling, what should they stop doing now and start doing?
They want to they love their business, but they're trying to avoid selling.
Yeah,
All
they
right,
want to
well,
avoid selling.
all right,
There's a
well,
lot of people that don't want to sell.
yeah, and also, well, matter of fact, so for example, there are ways to go ahead and sell you. So if you want to go ahead and do that, and also there are a lot of people. Thank you. Matter of fact, online marketing. We got people who do that all day long. As far as that's concerned, that's a way. That's a form of selling that, I guess you can avoid in terms of the hand-to-hand combat. But this is kind of getting back to what we've been talking about: talking to your type, using the platforms that your type are on. The idea of just knowing a lot of stuff out there and seeing what sticks does not work for that. This is the reason why we get very, very specific, because you have a voice, you have a type, and your type is on a certain platform. There are people who are amazing at Instagram. Matter of fact, my customers, I'm hitting home runs on Facebook. However, I'm getting goose egg on Instagram. For you, Adrian, and also as a professional, LinkedIn is you all day long. Facebook, maybe not so much, and so on and so on. So getting people to really understand who their type is on that really helps people to go ahead and understand. Listen, first of all, if you're in business, sales is just part of life. Think of it this way. Matter of fact, your business is the body, sales is the blood. So if you're thinking that you're going to be able to go ahead and do this without basically sales, I'm sorry, you're having a little bit of unrealistic expectations. However, if the real question behind the question is, I do want to sell, just not the way I've been told and all stuff, and I don't want to have anything to do with that, then let's talk, because you have a unique voice of how to get that done. And there's various ways to do that without feeling as if you're doing push-ups on Jello.
This is really kind of my final question. So I know the importance of having a coach. Right?
Sure.
I didn't know what the importance of having a coach. What can you tell those that are watching now? Why should someone that's like me, that has a small business or an entrepreneur, reach out to someone like you?
This is interesting. And also, I'm 57 years of age. And you know what's amazing, Adrian? All my life, I have no idea what I look like from behind. No clue. I have no idea how I look like unless I go to one of those three-way mirrors or whatever situation. I can go ahead and do that. Or if someone else tells me.
Yeah.
Why am I bringing up that example?
Yeah.
Because there are aspects of who you are that you can never see. What a great coach is able to go ahead and do is take what you simply can't see and be able to go ahead or maybe position it in a different way. And sometimes just one move to the left or the right or a different mind shift changes everything. I remember when I was looking for a coach myself, I was struggling in sales. And for the most part, if you've ever been to part of any sales environment, Adrian, you know what I'm talking about. It's very competitive. And you got a lot of people who would like to go ahead and give you just a little bit, but never give you the whole enchilada. Okay. So you are always fending for yourself. And for a lot of people right now who are listening to this probably sound like you. You're constantly fending for yourself. You're always having to go ahead and learn everything the hard way. And every time you try to ask, all you get is some general chat GPT stuff. And it's like, I'm looking for some insight specifically for me. So when I was able to go ahead and get a coach, I got more results in 4 months than I did in 5 years. Okay. That time I was trying to go ahead and release a book, and it was a great book. It was called How to Fight the Devil as Your Life Coach. On that, I had that idea back in 2013.
Yeah.
I didn't publish that book until 2018.
Wow.
What happened? Got stuck. When I hired a coach, I was able to go ahead and get the thing I couldn't get done in five years. I got done in 4 months. Getting a coach provides acceleration. Okay. Can you figure it out? Sure. I am sure eventually. But if you're wanting to say, listen, I want to try to go ahead and get to that top of that mountain as much as possible on that, like I said, again, I love the old African proverb and all stuff. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. That's what coaching is able to go ahead and do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you doing this today, man. Like I said, you've been a big part of my professional career. I know a lot of people may be out there. Hey, how can I get in contact with you? Could you leave your contact information on how people can reach out?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, everybody, in fact, for those who are listening right now, they can simply go to Coach Desmond, Desmond, CoachDesmond.com, and everyone here will get a free coaching session. Okay.
Last thing, man, you brought up a book, right?
Yeah.
A book that you wrote in 2013, but you wrote a book recently. Can you recommend that to some of the people that's viewing?
Well, like I said, that one is called How to Fight the Devil as Your Life Coach, Why Christians Fail and How to Stop. That book came out now as well, and we're going to be re-releasing a book and also called They Will Buy From You. So stay tuned. And also that one is talking about getting more in depth in regards to how to sell like an introvert. On that. In fact, one of the recent projects I have right now is called the Introverts Guide to Sales Mastery. You can go CoachDesmond.com. You can go ahead and get that. That gives you a really great audio version of how to go ahead and do that. It's absolutely amazing. Again, also available at coachdesmond.com. But if for a lot of you right now who are hearing this and you're saying a lot of the stuff, I'm an introvert. I didn't realize I sold so differently and all stuff. And I want to go ahead and be able to do that. I think that's really getting in the way of me really being able to go all in. Well, if that's you, I would thoroughly recommend that folks go ahead and take advantage of the free coaching session. Again, you can get that. Anybody with the sound of my voice, just simply go to coachdesmond.com. They can go ahead and schedule a free, that's right, that's it, free coaching session. We'll take it from there. Okay.
That's awesome.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Coach Desmond. Really appreciate your time, man.
You got it, brother.
Take care, brother.
Wonderful, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate you.